Hey, what's up, guys? Dylan Johnson from Soccer Mag here. I'm back for another week of predictions. The money man is sick at the moment, so he's unable to make this week's filming. But once again, I will be posting his predictions later on the site if you're keen to check those out. Last week's predictions were pretty rough. I think I got 3 out of 10, and the money man and Ollie got 2 each. So it really wasn't great on our side. But I think last week's overall scores were seriously, I don't think we saw many of them coming. It was a lot of the smaller games. I think if we look at, Spurs, Newcastle, I think I predicted Newcastle to win. Spurs will win this in, I think, 5 rounds. Everton beating Chelsea, again, Everton just seems to be getting better and better, and I think we need to start giving them credit. Other games, Sheffield beating Brentford, Bournemouth smashing United, these are results that I think not a lot of people saw coming. Maybe 1 or 2, but they add up. So last week wasn't a great week, but we will try and be better this week. I'm sure it should be, the fixtures favor us a bit more. So if I look at the first game this week, it's Nottingham Forest versus Spurs at Forest. This one could be a bit difficult because Spurs, the way they thumped Newcastle, honestly, they completely outplayed them. Kind of makes it look like Spurs haven't been a terrible team recently. But I'm not sure, that was at home. Things kind of favored them. Newcastle have a lot of injuries, so do Spurs, obviously. But Forest at home were decent. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I just think that maybe that dominant win for Spurs was maybe just, on the day they were the better side, but I still think they have huge problems. Romero back is huge for them, but if I'm honest, he's lucky to be back. He probably should have been suspended again for that horrendous tackle he made in that Newcastle game. So it doesn't look like he wants to play. It looks like he got suspended, came back, and wants to get suspended again. I'm going to go for 2-2 Forest. I just have a feeling, Forest haven't been playing badly. I think they had a good draw with Wolves last week, and that was away from home. They haven't been great away from home. So I'm going to give Forest I'm just going to back them a little bit here. Not for the win, but I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Overall this week, though, guys, there aren't great games, and there's probably only 2 entertaining games this weekend. Next, we have Bournemouth versus Luton. Bournemouth have been in insane form. I think they've unbeaten in 5, 4 out of 5 wins, 1 draw. One of those draws was against Villa. The rest, they honestly, I thought United were going to win that game after the first half an hour. They went 1-0 down early. I still saw promising signs. I think they were creating chances. I think Harry Maguire had 1 good header. But I don't know, United, there's just something wrong there. And Bournemouth played really well. I think overall 3-0 maybe flatters them a bit, but they were the better side. They took their chances and they played really well. And Luton had 2 pretty resilient performances against City and Arsenal last week. But that was at Luton. And Luton away from home, nowhere near the same threat or challenge as when they are away from home. I'm going to go for a 3-0 Bournemouth win. I think they're scoring loads of goals. They're playing confidently. The team seems, they seem to be getting on well. The chemistry's there. And I just think they should batter Luton at home. After that, Chelsea versus Sheffield United. And I think I have to back Chelsea here. Even though they haven't been great, I think their loss against United was disappointing because I think we know that United haven't been an amazing team this season. They've gotten points, but that was probably one of the best games United's played in the past 6 months. They really played well. Chelsea had chances, but once again, they just aren't clinical enough. I think Mudryk had a couple good chances, and decision-making of Chelsea's attackers is just not great, They're shooting when they could maybe pass. They're passing when they could shoot. They're taking 1 or 2 too many touches. It is Sheffield, though. And I think if we're honest, Sheffield are tied with Burnley as the worst team in the league. Sheffield got a surprising win against Brentford, though, last week. So they do have that. But, I mean, I'm just going to have to back Chelsea's team on paper here. Their squad is just too good to lose at home to Sheffield. I think if they do, it is something serious. I think the problems are worse than we think. I don't think anyone backs Chelsea right now. But if they do not win this game, it's shocking. It would be, I don't know what I'd think after that. The next game we have, my score. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. Let them edge it. I think Chelsea have the capabilities to have individual, Sterling can score 2 goals by himself. So I'm going to have to back Chelsea. Like I said, it would be a huge shock if they don't beat Sheffield. After that, we have City versus Palace. And looking at the last 2 performances from City against Villa, I've never seen, I think I mentioned it last week, I've never seen City get outplayed like they did against Villa. Honestly. I think I also mentioned the last time I remember something like that was when Liverpool beat City 4-1, I think in the Champions League, where they absolutely blew them away and they had no answer to anything. And I think every time City were under pressure, they hoofed it, which they don't usually do. Straight to McGinn, straight to Douglas Luiz, straight to Kamara. They were under so much pressure. It was so, honestly, and I know they didn't have Rodri, but I've never seen it like that before. I've never seen City under so much pressure. Then in the next game, also against Luton, I think Luton, obviously, like I mentioned earlier now, that Luton at home is a seriously difficult game. They've played 3 of the top 6 now. Liverpool just didn't win that game. 97th minute equaliser away. Arsenal, 95th minute winner. Could have beaten Arsenal with 3-2 up. Last seconds, they lost that game. City, obviously City put the game away a lot earlier, but by no means an easy win for Man City at all. To go 1-0 down and then to equalise in the second half and then score the winner a few minutes later. City aren't playing the free-flowing football that we used to watching. And that's just something I think is just interesting to, look at. And Palace, not doing great at the moment. Against Liverpool in their last game, they didn't do too badly. I think they were very difficult to break down. And they got the penalty, could have maybe had another one. But they didn't really create a lot of attacking opportunities. They were difficult to break down, but didn't create a lot of chances. And this Liverpool team are vulnerable to that. So I think City are going to comfortably win this. I just believe that it's getting to the point now with City where any sort of positive momentum is good for them and they'll get better. Every season this time of year, they do struggle. And I think they should win this. I'm going to go 3-1. 3-1 to City. I just don't think Palace are good enough. They've lost too many games. Yeah, that's just my opinion. Then after that, Newcastle, Fulham. Fulham have been in great form. I think they've scored 13 or 14 goals in their past 3 games. I think it's 13. 3 against Liverpool and then 5-0 back-to-back. I think it was against Forest and West Ham, I think, the 2 5-0s. They are insane form at the moment. Honestly. Raul Jimenez is playing really well. Williams playing really well. João Palhinha is playing really well. Defensively, they're looking good. But Newcastle at home, that's the thing. It's a huge test for Fulham now if they can come to Newcastle, who are definitely wounded. They've just ended bottom of their Champions League group. Their squad is looking thin. Confidence is low. They lost to Everton. They got hammered by Spurs. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. There'll probably be more goals than that, but I'm thinking, I don't know. I just have a feeling it's not going to be the highest scoring game. Both teams are capable of scoring. But I just feel Newcastle in this moment in time are just looking a bit weak isn't the right word, but just fatigued. I think they've struggled with playing in multiple competitions, and I just don't see them comfortably beating Fulham. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in that game. The last game of Saturday, we have Burnley versus Everton, and I'm going to have to go for Everton here. I think, looking at it, it's almost a joke. I say it every week, but I don't back Everton and they win. When I back them, they lose. The way I'm looking at this now, Burnley are terrible. I think they're one of the worst teams in the Premier League. I think that's obvious. I'm going to go for a 3-0 Everton win, even though it's away from home. I just can't see Burnley beating Everton. They're in such good form. I think if you add their 10 points back, they're around 7th or 8th in the league. So they are actually a very good team this season. So that's my score, 3-0 Everton. Moving on to Sunday. Sunday is when things get slightly more interesting. Couple better games. Teams high up the table facing each other. The first game of the day is Arsenal versus Brighton. And this is a relatively exciting game. I think we know that on their day, Brighton are one of the best teams in the Premier League, and they haven't really shown it recently. I think they beat Brentford last week, and then they drew to Burnley. So it's a bit disappointing. It kind of seems with Brighton at the moment, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. They're kind of staying in the same position, not really moving up the table, not really moving down. Every week they get a win, the next week they get a loss. So it could be better, but Brighton just inconsistent. From Arsenal's point of view, they're probably extremely disappointed with their loss against Aston Villa. I think in the long term, it's probably like short-term disappointing because, they're not top of the table anymore. But I think if you look at that performance, Villa have dominated every team they've played. I mentioned earlier how they absolutely destroyed Man City. And Arsenal were the better side for large portions of that game. And you could even argue they were very unlucky to, not get the equalizer with Kai Havertz's goal being disallowed. I think at the Emirates, Arsenal will comfortably take this game. I don't think Brighton are anywhere near as strong as they were at the start of the season. I think Brighton will probably score a couple goals. I'm going to go for a 3-2. Just because I think it will be an entertaining game. I just don't believe that Brighton are as much of a threat to Arsenal as they would have been a couple weeks ago. So Arsenal 3-2. After that, we have Brentford versus Aston Villa. And I think this will be an exciting game as well because both teams, I think Villa, there's no explanation needed. They are in great form. They are third on the table, couple points off the top of the log. Just beaten Man City and Arsenal, 2 of the favourites for the title. Brentford shouldn't really be too much of a threat to them. I think Brentford also on the back of 2 losses. So... And they just lost, I think they lost 2-1 to Brighton, and then they lost 1-0 to Sheffield. So, if there's a time to play Brentford, it is now. Aston Villa, even though they're away from home, have nowhere near as strong as they are at home. I think at home they've won 15 in a row. I'm still going to go for a 2-1 Villa. I think there's no way... not no way, it's the Premier League, but it'll be incredibly disappointing from Aston Villa's perspective to beat 2 of the best teams in the Premier League. They can go away to Brentford, who are not in great form at all, just lost to Sheffield, and lose. So 2-1 to Aston Villa for that one. Next we have West Ham versus Wolves. And I think this is a okay game. West Ham, they beat Spurs and they go and lose 5-0 to Fulham. Not great, very difficult to judge them, That's in the space of 4 days. It's very difficult to judge West Ham at the moment. Wolves looking solid. I think they just drew to Forest. So West Ham at home have been good. But still, I don't see a clear winner in this game. I think both sides are capable of winning it, but at the moment, I can't definitively back either team. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. I think West Ham haven't been great. They've shown at times this season they can be a good team, but they're kind of dropping down the table a bit. They're not getting consistent wins. Wolves, on the other hand, not getting consistent wins, but definitely playing better every week than West Ham. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 there. Then for the last game of the weekend, this is, one of the biggest games in the Premier League season. We have Liverpool versus Man United at Anfield. And I think this is going to be a great game. I know that there's a lot of talk about, it's going to be an easy walkover for Liverpool. United aren't doing great. They've just finished bottom of their group, all those kind of things. But as a Liverpool supporter, I can comfortably say form means nothing going into this game. I think last season, Liverpool were doing terribly. United were on the back. I think they were unbeaten for 20 games. They come to Anfield. Gary Neville, Roy Keane, I've never seen them so confident coming to Anfield. They were going 2-0, 3-0 United. Liverpool ended up winning 7-0 somehow. And I was watching that game in shock. I was worried that Liverpool would lose last time. And now I do not feel 100% confident going into this game because I know that this Liverpool team is vulnerable. I think to be top of the log right now, I'm seriously happy with that. I did not see that coming whatsoever. But if you look at the past 5-6 games Liverpool have played in all competitions, really haven't been dominant at all. The goals-wise, scraping through, I think, against Crystal Palace. 2 late goals, very late goals. A moment of brilliance from Harvey Elliott. You go back to the Sheffield game. By no means dominant offensively at all. Scored off a set piece thanks to Virgil van Dijk, and then in the 95th minute make it 2-0 to look more comfortable. But it really wasn't that comfortable. You go back to the Fulham game, 4 goals from outside the box, a free kick to win that in the 89th minute, 88th minute. You go to the Toulouse game in the Europa League, they lose that game. So Liverpool are getting through, but by no means can you say they are a dominant team, blowing teams away. And that's something that makes me hesitant going in this game because Man United on their day still have good players and they can beat Liverpool. So it's a difficult one. And Man United are under extreme pressure. They've just finished bottom of their group. They've embarrassed themselves in the Champions League. Copenhagen, Galatasaray. United should be getting through this pool. They should be getting through this group. In the Premier League, they played really well against Chelsea. We saw more of the Man United team we expect in that win against Chelsea. And then they go and get destroyed by Bournemouth. They are capable of playing well. And I honestly wouldn't say it's going to be a 4-0, 5-0 Liverpool win that some people are expecting. I think Liverpool will win this game, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 or 1-0. It's going to be a very fine margins. I'm going to go for 2-1 Liverpool just because I don't have confidence, firstly in Liverpool's defence, because we do concede lots of chances. Sheffield should have scored against us. Fulham scored 3. Palace could have scored more goals. Alisson was insane. 2 ridiculous saves to keep them in the game. So Liverpool, just because they're top of the log, they're not this in. Honestly, I think Arsenal and Man City are better teams than Liverpool this season. But Liverpool are getting through games and they're overperforming and they're doing well, and I'm not complaining about that. It's just I think United, it would be very naive of people to go into this game and think Liverpool are going to comfortably throw them away. Because we've seen it before and it will happen again. United are capable of doing something. They are Man United at the end of the day. So I'm going to go for 2-1 Liverpool, but by no means an easy result. And I think we're going to end on that, guys. I hope you guys have a good weekend of betting and predictions. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.